Okay, let's take a look at dividing fractions. Now we've already gone over adding and subtracting where you need to have common denominators, and we've also looked at multiplying where you just multiply straight across and simplify. Dividing is very similar. So first of all, we need to know what a reciprocal is. A reciprocal is whenever you take the numerator and denominator and flip them. So in this case, 5 is actually 5 over 1, so the reciprocal is 1 over 5. The reciprocal of 2/7 is 7 over 2. Reciprocal of negative 5/8 is negative 8 over 5. So you keep the negative, all you do is change the numerator and denominator, flip them. Here we have a decimal, but hopefully we can recognize that that's actually 1/10 because it's in the tenths place, so the reciprocal is 10 over 1. Now the justification, the way you know that it's a reciprocal is because if you take the original number times the reciprocal, you should get 1. So 5 times 1 over 5, which we saw was our reciprocal, those cancel and we just get 1. If I look at this, 2 over 7 times 7 over 2. They cancel, those cancel, and I end up with 1. With negative 5 over 8, the reciprocal we said was negative 8 over 5. The 8's cancel, the 5's cancel, and negative times negative is positive, so we get 1. And here we had 1/10. We said the reciprocal is 10 over 1. Everything cancels, and we see our justification holds true. We actually did find the reciprocals. But all you really have to know is that reciprocal just means you take the numerator and denominator and flip them. So to divide, we need to use these reciprocals. To divide any non-zero number, multiply by its reciprocal. So what we're going to think of that is copy, change, flip. And what I mean by that is, let's say I have the numbers 1/2 divided by 3/4. We're going to copy the first term, 1/2. So we're going to copy this. We're going to change our sign, and we're going to flip this last fraction. And that's really the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So copy the first, change division to multiply, change it where the multiply comes in, and flip it. So instead of 3/4, 4/3. But we know that 4/3 is actually the reciprocal. So in math terms it says multiply by the reciprocal, but really we're doing is just copying the first, changing the sign, and flipping it. Now we have a multiplication problem. We can multiply straight across, we get 2/3. If you were to write this with algebra, you would say a over b divided by, you could say c over d, is actually going to be a over b times the reciprocal, d over c, copy, change, flip. And then you would just multiply straight across, AD, BC. And then because we know that you can't divide by 0, we would have to say that B, D, and C cannot equal 0. And that's the official algebra for it. So let's try a couple. Divide this fraction by fraction. So negative 2/5 stays, copy the first, change division to multiplication, and flip. Copy, change, flip. Now we're able to cancel if possible, which we can here, and I get negative 7/10. In letter B, we have some mixed numbers, so we have to make sure that we turn them into improper fractions. I get 25/6 divided by negative 5/3. Please do it in steps. This is my improper fraction step. I changed everything to an improper fraction. Now I go ahead and I can do the copy, change, flip. If you do too many steps in one, you're likely to make a mistake. So here, this is going to become 5, that becomes 1, this cancels here, and we end up with negative 5 over 2, which is actually negative 2.5. Okay, let's take a look at the next page. We're going to practice a couple up top here. I'm only going to do 2 of them just for time's sake, so I can get to some of the more complicated ones down below. So we'll try letter A. We're going to copy the first term, we're going to change our sign from divide to multiply, and we're going to flip. Instead of 2/3, it's going to be 3/2. Now I can look and see if there's anything that cancels. Those cancel. I multiply straight across, I get 7 over 8. It's already simplified, we're good to go. I'll try letter D then also. This one is mixed numbers. So first turn it into improper fractions. I get negative 21/4 divided by 12/5. Remember, your first step, improper fractions. Don't do too many things at once. Now I can go ahead and I can divide. Copy, change, flip. I can see if there's anything that's going to cancel. Well, 3 goes into 21 7 times, into 12 4 times. So those canceled there, and I multiply straight across. I get negative 35 over 16, and that can be simplified into negative 2 3/16. Okay? So let's try these examples. We're going to have more than just one term in here. We're going to have multiple operations that we're doing. So here we're going to have to follow order of operations. First, remember, PEMDAS is what we're referring to. So there are no parentheses, but division is going to come before subtraction. So we're going to take care of this part first. So I'm going to copy, change, flip, and now I can do some canceling. And from here I get 9/7. Now I'm going to bring down the rest of it. It was minus 3/7, so I can subtract 3/7. And we know when we subtract we have to have common denominators. We have that, so I can just subtract my numerators. I get 6/7, final answer. In letter B, I have dividing, but first I have parentheses. So I have to deal with this first, and I'm subtracting. So I have to get a common denominator, which would be 18. 9 times 2 is 18, 4 times 2 is 8, and then this is 3/18. So I'm going to continue with this part, and I get 5/18. Once I've simplified that, I can bring down the other fraction, 5/9. So now I'm ready to go ahead and divide. It's going to be copy, change, flip, and it's very narrow here, but the 5's cancel, 18 can become a 2, and 9 becomes a 1. 2 times 1 is 2, 1 times 1 is 1, so my answer is just 2. Okay? We have one more of these, and then we'll try a word problem, and we're done. So first, turn everything into improper fractions. So 35 times 1 is 35, plus 29 is going to give me 64 35ths, divided by, this is going to give me 32 21st, and this one's already proper. Now, we're going to follow the division first, so it's going to be copy, change, flip, and when I do that, I see that 64 and 32 are going to cancel. This is going to be 2 and 1, and then 7 goes into 21 and 35, 3 and 7, or I'm sorry, 5 times. So when I multiply straight across, I'm going to put it here. It's a little crammed, like I said, but that'll work. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 1 is 5, so I have 5/6. Now I'm going to bring down this plus 7/5, and I have 15ths, and I have to have a common denominator, so 15 will be my denominator. 5 times 3, 6 times 3, and 15 times 1, 7 times 1. So I'm going to add 18 plus 7, and I get 25/15, which can be turned into 1 in 10/15, which then can be turned into 1 in 2/3. Okay, so make sure you simplify as far as you can. Last problem, Carissa is mixing 2 gallons, which is 32 cups, 16 per gallon, of fruit punch for a cookout. If each of the tumblers she plans to serve the punch in holds 2 1/3 cups, it should be cups, not cubs, how many tumblers can she fill? So really what's happening here is, pardon my bad drawing, is that we have this punch bowl, and Carissa's mixing 32 cups in this punch bowl. Now she wants to know how many little cups, which they call tumblers, is that going to fill, knowing that each little cup holds 2 1/3. So really what we want to do is 32 divided by 2 1/3. So we're going to go ahead. First turn everything into improper fractions, so I get 7/3. Now I can solve. 32, copy, change, flip. Okay? Unfortunately, nothing cancels out here, so I multiply straight across. I get 96/7, and I'm going to have to do some dividing. So I divide 7 into 96. 26, I get 3, and 21. So 13 and 5/7 is my answer, but she wants to know how many full cups, so I would say 13 full cups. Or, cups, there we go. 13 full cups is our answer. All right. If you have any questions, please see me, but that's it for dividing. Good job, guys.